Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got 6 vowels. This is really unbalanced, so I think it's a fairly easy change. And I'll just retain a solitary E. Not bad. I'm not immediately seeing a 7, but I suspect there will be some 8s with this rack. But what if opponent changes as well? Okay, he doesn't. So how about a bingo through the P, pardon E, not good? Quite a few 7s through the P, but not an 8. So something like operand. Just not seeing a bingo there. How about the U? That would be a 5 vowel 8, and I'm not seeing one. How about the B? Well, no, I guess it's the vowel combination on my rack, A-O-E-E. Slightly unbalanced. Just hesitating in case there's a 7 on this rack. It is possible, certainly high probability if it exists. So I'm not seeing a 7. Is there really nothing through the P? I would have the pre-prefix, the ed ending. Well, no, I'm not seeing anything, so what to do with this rack? I guess play off a couple of vowels and a consonant. So I could play do, and I'm hampered in terms of playing parallel to pub because my D can't go above or below the U. So this is 16 points. What about Donna? 19 points. I think the rack leave is better after do. And this doesn't give too much away. I'm going with this. Not good. I kept a pretty good 4-letter set, but I've picked up duplicates and this doesn't look very bingo-y either for 7s or 8s. However, I do have a scoring tile in the H, and I will be looking to split up the duplicates, so that very much dictates the sort of play I'll be looking for. Han and Na are both good. Pube only takes an S at the end. And as it stands, I've got Na in column 11 and also in row I. Do does take an N at the end, but Na in that spot doesn't score as much as the others I've mentioned. Okay, well Na now cannot play because I don't have a vowel to go next to the G. Gan takes nothing in front. So I can play here for 17. And another poor pickup, all vowels. And I'm drifting back towards my opening rack where I had 6 of them. Through an S, I would have uneasier. But if opponent doesn't provide an S or an alternative bingo floater, I'll be looking to play off 3 vowels, and I can do that quite easily by playing off EAU, or its anagram AUE. Par doesn't take any of those tiles after it, so I'm not going to score particularly well with that play. I guess AUE is the best I can see in column 12. We're slightly drifting towards a ladder running down this diagonal. That's most likely to be broken by a bingo. UH takes nothing after it. Okay, so just 22 points for opponent. The J is the only new floater provided, and that doesn't give me a bingo. It would give me Injure, which has some merit. Injure takes, I think, D, R and S, but that would be in row N, and any such play would open up the triple word square, so this is a lot less dangerous than playing it one square lower. 28 points is a decent score. AE isn't a terrible rack leave. They are the two nice vowels out of the 5. If I don't play in this spot, I can't play AUE or EAU parallel to Gene. And if I didn't play in this spot, opponent could score off the J. Now, where I was thinking of playing was AUE in column 12. 13 points, 15 fewer points. Keeping Rain, EINR. Is EINR 15 points better than AE? Probably close. But I don't think it's overwhelming. I'm going with Inja. Okay, I have regrade, which is good. That plays in row N. And it also plays in column 3. So I am bingoing next turn. Pan has created a new bingo lane in row K, but not one that I can play in. I don't think regrade has an anagram. One takes an R after it. So that's interesting. I could play regrade in column 13. Let me see what this scores. 79. 90. Well, I'm going with the bigger score. Not only is it a bigger score, but I'm creating 2 hotspots in column 1 and row O, so I will have first dibs at one of those. Regrade for 90. Well, not great, but not terrible. I have no duplicates. I have drawn an S. So I could play clasp in column 8 for a decent score. Do I have anything in column 1? Well, nothing better than Carl. Keeping 4 consonants, which is always a little worrying because there's a risk of drawing 2 or 3 consonants and really struggling to have options the following move. I think regrade takes an R as well as a D and an S. Possibly not. Toll takes an S in front. Now, is there anywhere for VAC getting rid of the V? Well, yes, I could play Cavil in row H, leaving just PRS, which is quite a nice 3-letter rack leave. And that would be 30 points. Great, just 30-odd points for opponent. Now, Cavil is nice because it burns the V and it takes out the triple danger. I do have a 50-point lead. I am going with this. Not good, but not terrible. Certainly non-bingo-y, but fairly easy to sort out. I just need to play woo or whoop somewhere. Whoopee is good, onto an E. Just wondering if I have a play in the bottom left getting the W doubled. And I don't think I do. A play of wop or pow might be an option worth considering. But so far I've seen nowhere for anything. I could play swap and tolls. 28 points, that's worth considering. Still 3 S's and 2 blanks to come, so this S might not be worth quite as much as an S usually is. More than half the tiles have been played. Saup is an alternative to swap. Beaten doesn't take an S at the end. Now, do I have anything created by opponent? My W can go in front of X, so I could play ow. 21 points. Interesting. Anywhere else worth considering for my W? That's really not a bad rack leave. If I draw an E, of which there are only 3, then it's pretty good. There are quite a few lanes on this board, in particular the S front hook for toll, and the C and the A are useful floaters for this rack leave. So is there anywhere better for OW? I don't think there is. 14 minutes on my clock. So this is for 21. The alternative I was considering was swap. £36 points, so 15 more points. Yeah, I think these moves are comparable. I'm going with ow. Well, what do I have? I would have airports through an A, but the A of Cavil not in the right spot. Not seeing a 7 with this rack. Wow, 45 points for opponent. He's breathing down my neck. So Paratours is the anagram of airports. That also doesn't play. Anything with the C. Not seeing anything. I'd quite like to turn over tiles to draw one of the blanks or increase my chances of doing so. I could play Port down here. 23 points. An OK rack leave goes well with the C and the A of Cavil. I'm still keeping the S hook and an A hook at the front of Port. S goes on the end of Dolt. Okay, I don't feel this is great, but I don't feel that it's terrible either. I'm going with this. Wow, look at all these eyes to come. Okay, I am going with this. Great, I draw a blank. Slightly vowel heavy, but the blank has got a lot of consonants it can be. So, do I have a bingo here? And there are some 7-letter lanes, so I'm going to first look for some 7s. Wow, opponent's scoring well with the power tiles. He's had all 4 of them this game, J, Q, X, and Z. And he leads by 4 points. So I'm looking for 7-letter bingos. Iodizer, does that play? Yes, it does. It plays in row L. Well, I'd like to do better than that if I can. And I can. I have Iodizer in column 14. Should I play that? Let me see what it scores. 85 points. R only takes an E after it, and there's only 1 E and 1 blank to come, so that's not massively dangerous. I am going with this. Am I 11 minutes on my clock? Supposing I had a bingo in column 1, well, that would be providing a ton of floaters. I've only got 6 points on my rack. The D is a blank. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, the most I could score in column 1 is 80, so Iodizer in this spot is better. Not great. W and U always a bit grim, but I have an 80-point lead. And opponent pretty much has to take out this triple word square now, otherwise I can play Rye. 23 tiles to come. Let me check the number of vowels. 11 out of 30, so quite vowel dry, and only 3 bingo-y vowels. That's pretty good. Given that I have a lead, it is tempting to turn over tiles. Expedites the end of the game, increases my chances of drawing the blank. However, Rye has merit in taking out a bingo lane. And I'm not anxious to burn my vowels since there is a vowel shortage. I would like to split up W and U, but if Rye does that, but so would a play of Y, U, should that be blocked? So where can I play YU? And I was just looking at the Q to see if there are any QUIG words, but I don't think there are. Owie is good. Now zit takes an I and an E and an S after it. I have Yortia onto an A, but that doesn't get doubled, and it creates floaters. I guess if I am going to create floaters, I'd like to avoid them being vowels. Now, there is a spot for YU, and it's quite a nice one, just above the last two letters of beaten, and it really obstructs row L as a bingo lane, and it stops opponent hooking zit with EI or S. I am only a bingo ahead. Okay, great. Opponent takes out that danger, doesn't score terribly much. I say takes it out. Of course, there still are bingos beginning with F and O. But probably fewer than those beginning with E or having E in second place. U for 17, a weak score. Can I do better? Well, the Y is a good scoring tile, but where can it play on this board? Was there a way of sticking an I on the end of zit? No, I don't think so. OY is good, but I would like to burn the Y with the U. When you've got the three tiles WUY, absolute minimum to burn two of them if you can. I'm going with U. Not good. I draw a V and an I. And the remaining tiles are looking pretty bingo-y. And my lead only 80 points, and I'm going to struggle to respond with a score. That felt weak, that U play. Doesn't mean it was. Now I have VOR and OI, and actually I can stick an S on the end of that to take out the F and to increase score by 7 points. And there's still two S's and a blank to come. Supposing that's blocked, well, I have VORs and U's, 20 points. Ten minutes on my clock, 11 on opponents. This ladder in the top right has really taken out the whole of the top right quadrant, apart from short plays in column 15, which don't particularly bother me and may actually be useful for me. Just 17 for you. A score of 30 would have been a lot nicer. I'm not seeing much opportunities for scoring around Cavil and Pube. Just vertical plays. And anything decent would open up floaters, which I want to avoid. The C and the A are useful bingo floaters. Now, opponent has taken out my VOR spot, or my main VOR spot. And there are still two I's to come, so there's a possibility that I'll have three I's and no W for Iwi. This is 26 points, which is good. Let me check the remaining vowels now. 8 out of 25. Okay, so duplicate I, not terrible. And VORs extinguishes the bingo threat in the bottom right of the board, apart from bingos beginning with F, of which there probably are quite a few. Can I do any better than this? Can I score any more? No, I don't think I can. I am going with this. I do draw an I. Wow, I actually draw a ton of vowels, so the remaining vowels just 5 of them, one of each of them. A, E, I, O, U. Now, no scoring tiles on my rack, and I only lead by 90, so a bingo now for opponent would possibly give him the upper hand. But he has to move fairly quickly. Only 13 tiles in the bag, but this F is useful. The C and the A are useful, the L a little less so. And the C would be the deadliest because it wouldn't provide much scoring opportunities in response. So how about taking out the C and the A next turn? How can I do that? Tricky, because I would be playing through the A, and yet it's precisely vowels that I have. So I have a vowel surfeit problem when the bag as a whole is vowel dry. So what about playing through the C? Tricky, because anything 2 tiles above the C is going to be a floater. And if I play only 1 tile north of the C, I'm not taking out the A of Cavill. Really, really tricky rack. I haven't seen any good candidate plays. I'm just hoping this vowel shortage comes to my rescue. So what do I have through this C? Just not seeing anything, but there must be something. An opponent plays off all consonants. 24 points, so I'm only 60 points in the lead. So Mac only takes an S at the end. It does take an I in front, so what about doing this for 16 points? Horrible. Horrible-ish. Let me take this back. This feels really lame. I'm limping through the final moves of the game, getting 16 points, 17 points. It's just an invitation to my opponent to catch me. Just looking at the top of column 15 to see what I have. Not seeing anything. I guess a play of IO would frustrate the F. But should I be taking out the A? How dangerous is that? Very, very tricky position to be in. Fortunately, I've got 7 minutes to think about what to do. What about playing down from the F myself? I really would like to turn over a few tiles. So what about this? Only 10 points. Dreadful rack lead, but less so in the context of a vowel dry bag. This would leave only 5 tiles in the bag. Opponent may stick an H in front of the I, but then he'll be emptying the bag further. My I's could be useful in terms of this C. This feels terrible, only 10 points. But it does have merit. Opponent could, for example, have flashing about to come down. That would take it out. But so would IO. Well, there's only 6 points difference. I do see merit in massive tile turnover. I'm going with this. Well, I do draw a couple of vowels, which is good. Remaining tiles now looking a lot less bingo in. They don't look like they go well with the C. They do look like there may be something through the A. And I have drawn the H, so I have HA. My lead is only 70 points. If opponent does bingo now, he'll be emptying the bag. Great, he burns a vowel and an S. 2 tiles in the bag. Very tricky to obstruct Cavil. This Cavil has really been a problematic play for me in terms of being difficult for me to shut down, and yet I was quite pleased with it when I played it. So does opponent have a bingo through the A? Very difficult to assess given that there are so many possibilities with the blank. He's only trails by 50, so a bingo would win for him. There's also the L, which he could have a bingo onto. I'm going to have to forget about that. C and A are the dangers. I can't play just HA because HA takes hooks in front. 5 minutes on my clock. Supposing I did play HA, 28 points, 391, I would be 83 in front. Yeah, opponent could catch me. But I don't think he's going to bingo onto this C. He hasn't got an I for IC. The A is far more likely. I don't think he's got many plays through either C or A. I'm really tempted. Wow, look at this, keeping 3R. Oh, well, I can play high. That's certainly a little better. Can I score any more than this? I don't think so. So this is my final decision point. Does opponent have a bingo through the A? So he could have the man ending. I don't think so. I am going with this. Wow, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. What is opponent about to lay down? Close to Muscadet, that's slightly blocked. So opponent has 8 minutes to find a bingo through the A or onto the L. And I think anything wins. He'll get 16 points on count back, so that will take him to 324. Wow, he doesn't bingo. Fantastic. That saved me 7 minutes of agony. So the game has to be mine now. And I really hadn't contemplated what to do. I was just waiting for opponent to play. So I have 3 minutes. Ked takes an S. It doesn't take anything I've got. So maybe just burning tiles. Alice in for 10. Do I have 2 spots for my D? I do. I have add and der. And I suspect others die. But opponent will probably be going out now. Wow, did opponent have a bingo at the end? That looked a pretty useful rack with the floating A. Now, supposing opponent doesn't go out, let me use this time to find my best D spot. Add for 3. Der for 7. Idar 6. And opponent does go out. And the final score, 342 for my opponent, 401 for me, a winning margin of 59 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Such a relief. Now it was me to go first. And so owie for 14, keeping A, E, O. I actually prefer changing. This is really getting off on the back foot. These are 4 useful floaters, and the score's pretty lame. A, E, O probably not worth 14. Sorry, probably not worth minus 14, but probably worth between -5 and -10. But on the opening move, the rule of thumb is 2 points for every tile you put on the board, so that's 8 points. So AEO only has to be worth -6 for changing to be better, and I think it is. Opponent's rack plays pub. And great, no missed bingo here. I thought I may have done sometimes when one starts a game, one's a little rusty and takes a while to get into the swing of things, and that particularly applies to these games I make for the channel, because in a face-to-face tournament, most of my games are literally moments after a previous game, so I've very much got my Scrabble head on. Far less so with these games, which are brand new. Anyway, I played Doe for 16, and that's not far off the top score, and the rack lead is better. Not a nice rack for opponent. Plays Gan. And I play Na, and I like that. It's keeping 4 good tiles, and the score isn't far off the best, and it's keeping the board tight. And I may have blocked Jet Plane, and Jet Plane may have been deleted a while ago. Either Jet Plane or Jet Liner used to be good and isn't, and I really struggle to remember which of them is in and which is out. Now let me go back. I'm not sure I did click for opponent's choices, and he played Inja. He played Jean, rather. And now, let me go back. I'm not sure I did look for opponent's options here. Yeah, so Jean looks fine. And now my options, and I play Inja for 28. I could have got 4 more points for Rani, playing parallel to Jean, but the rack leave of IU, definitely 4 points worse than AE. AE is quite nice, probably only worth about -1, but IU, I would say, is worth -8 or 9, so certainly more than a 4-point difference. Ow! Missed bingo, notelet. Where does that play? F12, Dan and Ono, but also B3, parallel to Inja, and opponent plays Toll. So look at that. So often events like this turn a Scrabble game. Opponent misses a bingo and you get 1 down, and it could have been very different if opponent had played his bingo and you, for example, hadn't spotted yours. Now look at this. It wasn't just regrade. There were a couple of 8s, regeared and regarder, but regade for 90 looks best. Opponent plays beaten. And here we go. This is where I play my Cavill play, which came back to haunt me. And I have an 80-point lead. And look at this. Opponent has 3 of the power tiles on his rack at the same time. Plays X. And this is what I was thinking about Saup and Swap. And in the end, I went with just OW for 21. So is this rack leave of IOPRS 15 points better than IOR? And I would say it is. I think IOR is going to be negative, maybe -5. Or slightly less than that. And IOPRS definitely positive, and possibly north of +10. So yeah, the difference may be about 15, but I don't think it's going to be massively away from that, in which case I prefer the move with the better rack leave. And also, aside from score and rack leave, Saup or Swap would have provided useful floaters. Now, opponent's rack, and he plays Zit for 45. Phew, no missed bingo here. And I play Port, and Ports is the best move here. Interesting. Ports adds 9 points, which is more than the value of an S. So there's a 9-point difference between ports and port, but although the S is worth about 8 or 9, in conjunction with the I and the R, there's some synergy going on, and I suspect the S is worth a little bit more, so I think port is a better play. IR is an okay 2-letter set, probably worth about 0 or +1. IRS, I would say could be worth 12 points, so definitely more than 9 points better. Now, opponent's rack plays key, which was a nice spot and a good score. And here we go, I have iodizer. Ionizer also is good, but not as good a play because it takes an L front hook. Ironize and riotize, well, just a ton of bingos, but iodizer scored most. Wow, another missed bingo, really hard to see. Formicas, column B through the A of Cavil. And opponent plays off. Gosh, that would have drawn us level. Now, so opponent does have the blank from here on in. My rack and my choice of you doesn't appear. Look at this, A15. Stay was possible for 50 points. So I shed 33 points and kept the W. Yeah, so stay would have been a better play. It's not 33 points better. My rack leave is a lot better after you. Weights isn't terrible, but it's not a 33-point difference. So out of interest, how would I score IUW? Probably between -10 and -15, and weights I would say is slightly positive, maybe +4 or 5. So maybe a 20-point difference in rack leave value and a 33-point difference in score. So I think stay is better, but possibly only 10 to 15 points overall better were one to sim. Now, opponent's rack. And he has Formicas again. Okay, that's quite unusual. Plays if. Now I play Vors. Vista also available, J10. Interesting, that's quite a nice play because it frustrates the F. It forces an F bingo to be F something S. And also it sorts out the duplicate I and retains the W for score. So I think I prefer Vista. Opponent's rack, no bingo, plays Mac. And now this is where the real agony began. I was only 60 points in front. I have no scoring tiles. I have a hideously unbalanced rack. And look at this, there is nothing. There really is nothing. All these M plays are hooking the K for not many points. So I sacrificed 10 points to increase tile turnover. And I still like that. Opponent's rack, well, turnover and taking out a very high value bingo lane. Wow, another missed bingo through this A. Spousage, difficult one to spot. Opponent plays goes, and now 2 tiles in the bag. What to do? I play high for 28, and, well, it is what it is. I'm not having any regrets right now. I guess if opponent had bingoed, I would. So, does opponent have a bingo? Yes, he does. Unbelievable. Where are they? So, D1 smutched through the C. Wow. Tumest through the C, and the same word with the blank in a different spot. Wow, what a let-off. Very difficult bingos to spot, both of them. But they were there, and opponent had the time to find them. So, maybe high was a terrible play. Maybe I should have played high. Gosh, why didn't I think of that? High in row I, high ch and AI. That would have forced opponent to find a 9-letter play or a bingo onto the L. Yeah, and I didn't need the score at this point. I just needed to take out bingo lanes. I just couldn't find a sensible way of doing that, but HI would have been the play. So I got out of jail at the end there. Opponent plays Ked. and, well, I just play Alison because the game is over at this point. Obviously, in a real tournament, I would spend a while finding the best out combination, and opponent has quite a few outs to find, but I think all of them are created by my play of Alison, so there probably was something better I could have done on that play. So, what a game. Really, really tense at the end, and not just right at the end. I felt all the way going into that end game that the cavil hooks and the F of off were just waiting there to be used by opponent for a bingo, and I really struggled to deal with those multiple bingo threats. Anyway, I did benefit from my opponent missing bingos, but people make mistakes all the time in Scrabble, and the reason for that is that it's a very, very difficult game to play well, and that's why it's a worthwhile game to study, because you will never master it, and it's really set at an appropriate level in terms of being a challenging game, but it's an accessible game. Anybody can understand the game, and anybody can learn words if that's how they choose to spend their time. And that's about it. So many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.